Hey now, welcome to the Dirty Side of the Track, America's leading Formula One podcast. That's Rob. I'm Brian. You don't know about the failed attempts to start this podcast this week, but here we go live and in person. Rob, how are you, man?
I'm good, thanks. What the funniest part about that was that you weren't bragging. You were happy that you're back in front of your home setup. So
Yes.
anyone that listened to us last time out, Brian was having to do the whole episode on his tiny little laptop screen, and it was just hilarious watching his eyes kind of glaze over and trying to work out where the heck is everything on this tiny little
Oh,
screen. So he's all kind of full of bravado. Hey, I'm back in my home office. I've got multi-screen, cinema screen size. Everything's fantastic. We hit record and it all goes wrong. So this is take two.
welcome everybody. It's also an off week, but we have a preview, and I'm excited for the preview because it's the preview for the final triple header that starts to close the season for us, which is sad, exciting, and we'll find a champion. But Rob, you want to lay out the episode for everybody?
Yeah, we will jump into news and social. Not a huge amount of it this week, but maybe some bits we can have some fun with. Brian's got a bumper crop of videos to take us through. And then kind of scratching around like we always do in an off week. If something doesn't kind of sort of present itself, we kind of rummage around in our bag of ideas and see what we pull out. So we're kind of looking at the way that we're going into this end of this season with technically, although maybe Brazil kind of tipped it Lando's way, kind of looking at a kind of final three shootout here. And the last time I really remember this was the epic 2007 season. So
Yep.
we're going to take a little bit of a walk down memory lane. There's some parallels to this year as well. McLaren teammates battling it out, maybe letting a third driver in with a sniff of it. It's all very kind of reminiscent of what we're seeing. And there were some other minor stories that unfolded that year as well.
Just
So,
some small stuff.
and then, like Brian says, we'll finish it off with a preview of Vegas,
Vegas,
baby.
baby, Vegas.
And yeah, so first thing that caught my eye this week, and I'm hoping it's just some fancy artistic rendering like fancy artists like to do of Audi and their new design that's been revealed. And pictures did the rounds. Uh, Very quickly, people, I think, with common sense chipped in and sort of said, no, this is just their color scheme. It's not the final design. Because if anyone hasn't seen it, imagine that you took an F1 car, which is black and red, and you held it by the rear wing and you dipped it in a tin of silver paint halfway up the car. You'll be left with a car that front half is completely silver and back half of the car has got a black and red combo on it. It's got to just be to allude to the color scheme, right, Brian?
Oh,
It's not going to look like this, surely.
it cannot for two reasons. One, that would be a terrible design. It has to be the color scheme, and two, it was revealed that next year we'll need to use 55% coverage of the surface of the car that cannot be exposed carbon fiber. And I thought about this. They're trying to, A, kind of limit the weight savings, and B, make the cars look a little more presentable. I don't know how they arrived at 55%. It's almost like whenever I try to print something to scale and you have to kind of zoom in and out and keep printing and eventually you get to the right thing. And they were like doing the same thing. 55% sounds just right. Every team should sell 55% coverage to people. And I don't care if you only have four sponsors, you whatever you can get out of them, you expand their logos so that you cover 55%. If I were an F1 team, I would have no paint. It would just be exposed carbon fiber and massive logos. I would sell the crap out of this car. Every ounce of weight on my car is making me money, or it's not on there. And I know that's not what anyone wants to hear, but if I were in charge of marketing, that's what I would do.
Question for you, Brian. I haven't done the analysis. Maybe a dirty side can do this for us, but 55% doesn't sound like a lot of the car.
No.
And they're saying, oh, because this year's grid was a little bit too, a bit bleak. It was all exposed carbon fiber. There wasn't much kind of color on display. Many cars on the grid, if you look at them, do you think already are 55% covered? Because if you think
Great
of the
question.
McLaren, yes, they use a lot of black, but there's a lot of papaya and chrome logos and
Lots of logos.
lots of logos. The Ferrari's basically red with black sections to it, but I'd argue it's probably 55% red. Even Kick Sauber's fluorescent green all over the place. It would be interesting if somebody out there could tell us how many of the 10 cars this year would have failed the 55% challenge, because
Great
it just
question.
seems like a random number that they've just kind of gone, yeah,
Yeah.
55%, because reasons.
Well, and like I said, it's fine to paint it. If these are Audi's color scheme, then great. But I would make money on everything. And I don't care if you're Haas and you have the random U Chicago medicine on the inside of the nose cone. blow that thing up bigger, charge them a little more, cover your 55% in money, baby. But I will say this one last thing on the Audi that no one is really picking up. Did you notice it was on soft tires? Question. That's the big deal to me.
That
They're already
yeah, it
planning some
is.
fast quali laps, is what's about to happen.
Well, yeah, right. People that need to be planning fast quali are going to be Ferrari
Oh
because
boy,
John Elkann. I didn't write it down. What position is he with Ferrari? Is he the
CEO baby.
CEO? Yeah,
Yeah,
CEO. So he's come out and had a little bit. I was going to say a little bit of a veiled swipe at the drivers. It's not a veiled swipe. It's a complete punch in the face to both of them. Not hiding his disappointment at all. He's come out and said Brazil was a big disappointment. Looking at the Formula One championship, we can say we have our mechanics who are basically winning the championship with their performance. Didn't know there was a championship for that. And everything has been done on the pit stops. So apparently they're also winning the pit stop world championship, but another one we weren't aware of. Our engineers have undoubtedly improved the car. Have they?
yeah.
But when
We'd
it
like
comes
a
to the
word. The
yeah,
results.
yeah.
The results department would like a
ah
word.
well here come the results departments, Quam. Surely we have drivers that need to focus on driving and talking less. So driving more and talking less. We have important races ahead of us. It's not impossible to achieve second place in the constructors. Bahrain itself is the demonstration that when everyone at Ferrari works together, we win. I think that's a reference to the WEC, right? When
Yeah,
Ferrari won
Le Mans.
the endurance championship. Yeah. So, oh my gosh! I mean, how do you? There's a phrase sometimes that praise goes down, blame goes up. Leadership should take the blame and kind of work out how to
I'm
rectify
familiar.
things,
I'm
not
dealing with
just
that some of that at work right now.
exactly not throw your two main drivers, which, by the way, you're responsible for bringing Lewis in anyway. So if you're having a go at their performance this year, that's on you as well. But the funniest thing, if you really want to pick into the details of his curve thing, that they need to focus on driving more and talking less. No, 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 John. They need to focus on driving less because that means they're going faster. They are driving more than anybody at the moment.
I love that.
That's why they're not winning.
I love that. So the sort of feedback was fairly swift. Although I say that it seemed like it took a day and then it was swift. It piled on quickly of people saying, "What is he talking about?" It felt like there was like this echo chamber for a day where everyone's like, "Wait, what?" And then the commentary came back, and Gunter Steiner didn't like it. Jack Villeneuve really did not like it. Jack
This
Villeneuve,
is Jacques
by the way,
Villeneuve, and you're listening to the dirty side of the track.
a friend
That's
of
what
the
he said
show.
before he spoke about John Eklund, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what he said before he said it exactly. So anyway, I agree. This was I don't get it. I mean, he's trying to light a fire and I appreciate his efforts to light a fire under people. I'm not sure he did it the way most people would have done it.
In public, throwing your drivers under the bus versus maybe some sort of internal team briefing, rah
Right.
rah, let's go type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Yep. Talking about things that get maybe taken the wrong way, but you got to love social media for taking what I think is a really genuine, normal question to have asked and turning it into, I
Agreed.
saw a clickbait article, McLaren to lodge official appeal against Red Bull cheating. I thought, what heck's happened that I've missed here? So, McLaren haven't lodged any appeal. What they did was or I'm not sure if they did do it in the end. There was some meeting with the FIA this week, and it came out that they wanted to seek clarification about the cost cap rules after Red Bull used an engine replacement for performance gains. So, under the financial regulations, engines replaced due to reliability issues are exempt from the budget cap, but voluntary changes are not. And because Mekis had come out and just so blatantly, openly said, we're changing this engine for performance reasons. We're under the gun now. We've got to, any advantage helps us. They've just sort of said, well, so that they're going to have to cover that under the cost cap, right? Because you're not allowed to do that for free because it's not because of reliability. And I honestly don't believe it's because he's trying to throw Red Bull under the bus. I think they're probably looking at it
I
and
agree.
going, few races left. Max has got a brand new shiny engine. If you could now do this and not have to account for it under the cost cap, yeah, we'll have two of those, please.
I mean, seriously, because Vegas is a high speed circuit. So a little extra power boost, sign it up. And Qatar is a mix. And by Abu Dhabi, who really pays attention anymore because that track stinks. But anyway, the point is, I agree. Do you think they're just going to pop an engine in the back of each car? 5 place grid drop if you've gone over your allocation? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what I wasn't sure of is that if if it does count, maybe Red Bull had enough ceiling left in their cost cap that they looked at it and basically went, oh, do you know what? We won't be able to do this for free because it's not because of reliability, but cost of an engine is X. We've still got enough room in the cost cap to absorb it, so let's do it. If I can't believe an organization like Red Bull could have been right up to the cost cap. I just don't believe they would be in the last year of a regs. They'd be right up to the cost cap, and they would have been as stupid to let Mekis go out and basically go, oh yeah, engine didn't blow up. We just wanted a performance gain. It would have been the biggest faux pas for him to say it in public if they were going to try to sneak this in. But
never know.
Who knows?
We'll see. I guess we'll have to stay tuned and watch and see if anyone brings fresh engines the rest of the way, especially the McLaren boys. Boy, I got a bumper video vault here. It is a bit of a sandwich, and in the middle are the unappealing videos. But let's open it up and start with the bread.
So you're serving us a turd burger, is that what you...
Effectively. The bread, though, is like a really nice, fresh, warm out of the oven sourdough situation that is just phenomenal. And in the middle, turd burger. All right, so unearth your greatness. Adrian Newey on the craft of race car design on the Aston Martin, Aramco, Cognizant, F1, Formula One, Aston Martin, Tracing Point team channel. 11 minutes long. I like this. I liked the Newey talking about his origins and how teams can flourish and how everyone kind of does the same thing, but how do you do it better? I enjoyed it. Now we're kind of leaving the good bread and we're onto the inside of the bread. But again, the friend of the show here, so I loved that part. Formula One star Valtteri Bottas earns honorary Aussie title, 9 News Australia. And
this is Valtteri Bottas, and you're listening to the dirty side of the track.
It's been a while since I've used both of those in the same episode, but they're both germane.
We'll have to try to get the Duff one broken out as well at some point then.
We'll make sure we'll do that too. This was 4 minutes long. This was not the best interview. VB was great. The hosts, not as prepared as they could have been. The only thing that's noteworthy is I did not know the location of VB's new vineyard. Do you know where it is, Rob?
Australia?
Yeah, but do you know like the region or town? It's called...
Not the Outback.
No, it's south of Adelaide. It is called McLaren Vale.
Oh, look at that.
And they, of course...
Screw the McLaren bit, but...
I thought that was great. How come Paul didn't tell us that it's called McLaren Vale? Paul, you're letting us miss out here. Anyway, the hosts didn't cover themselves in greatness, but Valtteri was great. Oh, and then we get into the middle of the sandwich. Lando Norris behind the scenes at the Waldorf Astoria Amsterdam Hilton, 11 minutes. I didn't like the original video of this when they made the burger there, and now it's behind the scenes. So if you thought I didn't like the first one, just wait for 11 minutes of behind the scenes of the video that I didn't like.
Did you stay for all 11 minutes?
I don't want to answer that question. Working 9 to Drive, Episode 1, Visa Cash App, RB, Racing Bulls, Toro Rosso, Minardi Channel, 7 minutes. This is effectively The Office meets Racing Bulls. So many just, stares at the camera. And I wanted to love this. I liked the two of them playing guitar a week ago. This... not good. It may have been funny because it was at Visa. Maybe people who worked at Visa thought this was hilarious. It's only episode 1. Please, just take episode 2, screen it on the internal Visa, SharePoint, and just let people look at it there. Do not send it out for the rest of us. This was not funny. Did you see that one by any chance?
No.
Don't. And then the last one I don't recommend before we get back to the bottom of the bread. The Cadillac F1 team first ever test. Checo Perez driving the Ferrari SF23 at Imola. And I'm thinking to myself, rubbing my hands together. Yeah, all right, here we go. This is on the Sport Crash 71 channel. Sometimes I go finding things that are good, and sometimes I go finding things like this. It's 9 minutes, shot on a phone through chain link fence.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And
occasionally it's the blacked out Ferrari.
It is the blacked out Ferrari. Yeah. It's blacked out uni, and it's really cool. And then occasionally he holds the phone above the fence, and you can kind of see the car better. But then otherwise, you're just staring through a chain link fence. I'm like, mm-hmm. And then a couple good ones to close, and I do recommend both of these heartily. Every time the Halo saved a driver's life on the Throttle Talk channel, 16 minutes. I didn't think I'd like this as much as I did. I thought I would come for a little bit and then leave. I loved it. I couldn't turn it off. They showed so many times, the development of the Halo, why it was built, current drivers and former drivers who were opposed to it. Then they showed it in action in Formula 2 and Formula 1, and they show what it's done already. I absolutely love this video. This was a kind of like well done thing. I did not know about the Throttle Talk channel, but I do recommend it. And then finally, this one's because of the Discord. So all of you on Discord who were saying how great this was, thank you. Live, the crazy Sao Paulo Grand Prix Drivers Parade, Formula 1, 16 minutes. So I had missed the Drivers Parade as I was spinning sideways across highways, and then I arrived right as the race started. Rob missed it as well. We heard about how cool this was, and we saw clips and pictures and some videos, but this is the actual F1 broadcast of the Drivers Parade. So good. It is so good. And sadly, the meme that's going around that shows Charles and Lewis in the Lego Ferrari, and then Charles and Lewis in the Brazil car, laughing and having fun, and the meme says, best drives of the year for Ferrari. Those are accurate, John Elkann. I know you're listening.
Yeah, and I think the thing I saw, which I'm sure somebody at Mercedes or some health and safety executive was just like, oh my gosh, and George, what happened to their car? And George jumped on Yuki and Max's and is like hanging off the side of this thing while Yuki looks like he can't see, driving this little car around. Like, George is going to fall off in a minute, like break his elbow on the
and Max
track.
is hanging out the back too. They had like a little hoop, like the safety roll bar, and they're both holding on to that. Like, well, if I fall out the back, this will save me.
Oh, gosh.
All right, let's close that up. So yeah, definitely the first couple and last couple worth checking. Otherwise, let's talk about 2007.
So 2007, I was telling Brian beforehand, one of my favorite seasons that can't say I've catalogued every single season and can work out which my favorite is, but 2007 sits in my head. And it was quite some season, with some of the main things being Spygate, which if you don't know what that is, we'll come on to that later.
Big deal.
A three-way final day battle for the Drivers' Championship.
That closed closer than I remember.
Yes. The end of the Concord Agreement that actually had teams threatening to not even turn up next year. So we got that as a backdrop of all the political stuff. Two new guys on the grid that you may have heard of that might go on to do something in the sport. Some guy called Vettel, some guy called Hamilton. So that's their debut season.
There you go.
Honda ran the first sponsor-free livery for the first time since 1968, when sponsorship started becoming a big thing. They ran the Honda Earth livery. I can't remember why. Someone will probably remind us, but it was a sort of not really big deal in the grand scheme of all these other things. But, another thing that 2007 had on it.
So they would have run afoul of the 55%? Or no, they painted it. They painted
it. That was back in the day when no one cared about paint.
Yeah, exactly.
You just slathered it on the
100%.
car.
You actually held it together with paint.
Yes, paint was glue. So Michelin had withdrawn the previous season as a tyre provider, so we had Bridgestone with the sole supplier across the grid. We had an American on the grid with the best, if slightly not well-centered name, Scott Speed at Toro Rosso. Scott Speed.
Scott Speed
that is the
such
name
a
that...
good name.
Oh, it is. That should have been like Brad Pitt's character's name in the F1 movie. Who's this? Scott Speed.
You gotta say it like Bond. Speed. Scott Speed.
So,
by the way, Scott's speed was slow.
Well, come on, we're going to get there. So we're going to jump in and kind of do a sort of Vale's Tales of the 2007 season. But I saw this on Reddit. There's a Reddit post called Back to the Future 2007. It started off with this great little intro. Unfortunately, the author seems to have deleted their account, so I can't actually credit anybody with this, but it's not mine. I'm stealing it. So it says, imagine we're doing a movie for the 2007 season. And the movie, you sit down in the cinema, you're all ready, and it opens up. It's a mild, rainy summer's day in the UK. We see a woman walking towards a shop. She could be anywhere in the world, and it wouldn't make a difference. She's carrying a hefty stack of papers. Around 780 to be precise. She walks into the copy shop and asks them to scan them and burn them onto a CD. Transaction is complete. She leaves the shop. Picture fades, and suddenly we're in Australia for race 1. What the hell was that all about? We will come back later in classic movie, whatever they call it, production, direction, whatever it is. That's our little teaser of what was all that about.
I love it.
So, should we break down like how all the teams were, who all the teams were, and who they kind of lined up with on the grid?
Yeah, let's do it. There were 11 teams on the grid that year. We had again, fun sponsors from the past. I always love looking back. And all right, Vodafone, McLaren, Mercedes with Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton. I mean, what a team! And
And it was
they obviously go ahead.
Alonso's first season and Hamilton's debut season, so it's a brand new lineup for McLaren.
And they got along swimmingly. Question: ING Renault F1 team with Giancarlo Fisichella and Heikki Kovalainen. Again, I love going back because I've seen, I didn't watch, I'll be honest, I didn't watch a ton of the '07 season. If anyone's been a long-time listener, I've had ebbs and flows, and this was kind of in the period of time where I didn't watch a ton as I left college and was working. But I love watching these videos from this era, and these drivers, just so cool. The Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro, Felipe Massa, Kimi Räikkönen. I mean, it's already like an all-star lineup, and we've only gone through 3 teams.
No, we got Honda Racing F1 team with Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello, 2 of the guys with some of the biggest smiles on the grid. Rubens just always happy, like even when he lost these. Then we kind of start coming into a couple of teams that will have different drivers throughout the season. And we'll touch on this one especially why. We had BMW Sauber, started the season with Nick Heidfeld and Robert Kubica. Vettel's going to make a little cameo for quite a horrific reason as we get in there later.
We got Panasonic Toyota Racing, Ralf Schumacher, and Jarno Trulli. I love Trulli's in so many of those great media day videos where he's just saying random things. I'm like, all right. Red Bull Racing, David Coulthard and Mark Webber. AT&T Williams. I forgot AT&T was ever a sponsor in F1.
100%. I was looking at this and going, AT&T Williams?
I didn't remember that at all. Nico Rosberg and Alexander Wurz, who started the season for them.
Yeah, another one where we had Nakajima, or whatever, came in for a single race at the end. We had Scuderia Toro Rosso started the season with Liuzzi and Scott Speed.
Who will get replaced.
We'll get replaced by Vettel at some point. We'll touch on that. Do you want to take us home with the last 2?
Sure. Etihad Aldar, Spiker F1 team. I know Etihad. Adrian Sodil and Christian Albers. And then Super Aguri F1 team. Takuma Sato and Anthony Davidson.
Yay, over to the Skypad, Anthony.
Over to the Skypad. Oh, no, wait, you're in the car.
Yeah, so this was 17 rounds from Australia to Brazil, the good old days of ending in Brazil. And it will be important to note later on to remember that this was run under the old scoring system of points were only awarded from 1st to 8th, and they went 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think that changes in 09, either before, I think after 09, they changed to the current scoring mechanism. So
somewhere around
less
then,
points.
So what we'll do is we're not going to go over every single race. We'll kind of club them together in kind of rounds of 5-ish and pick on the things that happened throughout the season. So as a Ferrari fan, Australia was fantastic. Kimi led from start to finish and became the 4th driver ever to win on their Ferrari debut. Hamilton 3rd. Not bad for a rookie in his first ever F1 race. 3rd step of the podium. Alonso then led a 1-2 in Malaysia. So that's 2nd spot on the podium for Mr. Hamilton in his 2nd ever race in Formula 1. Just nuts. Like, you just come in and like, yeah, I'm new to this. What can I do? Oh, 2 podiums in my opening 2 races, 3rd and 2nd.
I know, and you talk about sort of, people battling to the end. Really, the constructors battled as well. And I want to talk about that in the SAP stats for this because I didn't appreciate the dominance of McLaren and Ferrari. And the utter dominance of those 2 teams over the other 9 is unbelievable when you look at it in retrospect. We'll get to that at the end.
Yeah, it is.
You're going to hear a lot about these 4 drivers.
I know, and it was a weird season where there were some races where they were racing each other, but it was almost like it ebbed and flowed, right? Okay, so McLaren, we're going to dominate these 2 races, but then Ferrari. So along comes Massa in Bahrain and Spain and went, yeah, I'm just going to completely dominate these if that's all right. And the McLarens came back in Monaco and went, yeah, okay, you can have Bahrain and Spain as long as we're allowed to lap everybody in Monaco, including almost you, Massa. And they were like, Massa's like, if I get Bahrain and Spain, yeah, you guys can have Monaco. So Monaco was ridiculous.
How do you lap someone in Monaco is really the question I have.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they were, back in the day, cars a bit smaller, a bit more nimble. Alonso wins from Hamilton, and they lapped everybody and almost caught Massa towards the end as well. So they lapped everybody bar themselves.
Wow.
So that had kind of set the scene for, we're 5 rounds in. It's obviously Ferrari and McLaren that are going to be the ones to watch this year. But one of our favourite races on the grid that we've now been to twice, And I'm looking
And,
forward
and a
to going
third
again next
coming
year.
up. We need to plan that, by the way, buddy. We got to figure out where we're staying, and I got to get some flights.
True. So this has to be, and maybe I'll add it in as a bonus video to the video vault for
Let's do
people that
that.
haven't seen it, because we're going to try and describe this, and we're not going to do it justice at all. So Canada that year had 4 safety car periods, and one of them was for we had Adrian Sutil hit the barrier, went in. Safety car was just about to come back in again. But just before the lap could be completed, as it was coming into the pits, Robert Kubica basically lost his front wing after hitting Jarno Trulli, which sent him wide. He hits a bump. He gets airborne.
Oh, my God.
The thing that stops him being airborne is a concrete wall that he hits head on. Pirouette sideways across the track. I don't think he manages to collect anybody as he goes across it. He seems to go in between a couple of cars, God knows how, and then smashes into pieces on the other side of the barrier. They said peak deceleration of 75G when he hit that concrete wall.
Unbelievable. And this is, again, in 07. So while the cars are safer than they were in the 80s and 90s and 70s, they're still not what they are today. So this was wild. I
thought he was dead. I remember watching this, and I thought he was dead. I saw
the highlights of the race, and then when they showed that, I was like, no, not good. And we may want to do, like, I know we have a long list of Vale's Tales opportunities. A Kubica one he's like, for more casual fans, and especially anyone who came on and Drive to Survive, you saw him at Williams driving with George. And who's this old, bald Polish guy? And it turns out he was the bee's knees for a very long time. And he had probably one of the highest trajectories in a career, all to be lost in a rally accident. And then to come back and do things like this, just amazing. So anyway, I put in a vote for a Kubica Vale's Tales at some point, because a lot of people don't know who he is or what he did in F1, but he was pretty damn good. And when you saw this was just terrible.
Yeah, I'll put the link that I put in our notes just to remind us. I'll put that in the video vault as well. So despite the fact that he kept building up leads and he had all these safety car periods to take his leads away, Hamilton didn't bottle the pressure of constantly having to restart again. And in just his 6th race, he gets his first win. And by the way, we're 6 races in. He's been on the podium in every single race, and he's now won in race 6.
They're not going to allow many people on the podium who aren't driving for Ferrari or McLaren this year, so...
Yeah, but to be fair, hats off to, like, the start that he had. I remember, like, watching this young British lad come on and like, is he going to be any good? They've obviously just want Alonso in there. He's the title one that they're going to wrap this around and see if he can put a mentoring arm around this young rookie. And that relationship did not foster well.
Well, I remember Top Gear joking about it as well, with Alonso getting so worked up with this young kid next to him. And anyway.
Yeah, so then we went on to Indianapolis, and Lewis doubled down and got a second win. And this is another video that I'll put on the video vault of real wheel-to-wheel racing. Alonso was not happy that this new kid was not yielding to him. And there is a section, it's a couple of minutes, good old Murray Walker commentating on it, of just some epic wheel-to-wheel action between these two, where Alonso tries everything to put Hamilton under as much pressure as possible to outbrake himself. And Hamilton stands firm and takes home another win. So, yeah, it was epic.
But I think this was the point where Ferrari, I think I have this right here, where Ferrari comes out and they take legal action against some former employees. This could be an episode in and of itself. And Rob's teaser of the documents going into a Kinko's, coming out with a CD that is then maybe handed to people it shouldn't have been. The beginnings of the ideas of cheating, selling parts, stealing IP, everything's thrown around and eventually dismissed until later in the season.
Yeah, this was the start of Spygate, and it looked like it had all been put out, and it was just people kind of, just throwing mud, is kind of how it felt at the time. And it was a little bit of a shame, because this came out right after this race, and it kind of overshadowed a little bit of somebody standing in for Robert Kubica was a young lad called Sebastian Vettel, who came in on his debut and became the youngest point scorer ever at age 19. I think he might have a bit of a future after this.
Maybe. Does he go on to do anything in his career?
I don't remember. We
I
have to
don't
look it
remember.
up.
Yeah, we'll have to check.
But,
Nothing in the 2010s, 11s, 12s, 13s time frame. Nothing special. There.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Then we get to France, which we don't race at anymore. But this was, I don't think this was Paul Ricard. This was probably
No.
Manny Corbett then. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
Manny Core. I think.
Ferrari got their groove together again, and Kimi brought home a 1-2 with Massa. It was their first 1-2 of the season. And then Kimi won from Alonso and Hamilton at Silverstone. So we kind of got this constant ebb and flow. Like I say, McLaren have a little run of races that they bring home the bacon. Then Ferrari take over. Then we got so this is I found this funny. So it's the European Grand Prix in Germany. Hamilton's run of 9 podiums. This bit isn't funny. It comes to an end. He crashed in quali and then torrential down saw him aquaplane off and he came home 9th. But we had this little, I thought you'd like this. This is almost like a stat factoid in here. So I'm going to read this out because I didn't even remember this. But number of drivers spun or had to pit on the first lap, except for one driver, Marcus Winkelhock. He was driving the Spiker, and he was only driving the Spiker because Albers, who'd started the season, his sponsorship money had run out. After 9 races, his sponsorship money had run out, and they'd gone, excuse me, you're not racing this one. You can't afford it.
Check's not clearing.
These days, I mean, maybe it would. I mean, technically, I guess, would it? It just seems really bizarre.
I don't think there's a pay driver who is, I don't want to say bad enough, that's the wrong way to have it come across, who if their sponsorship dried up, they'd be left on the side of the track. I don't think we have one of those today.
Yeah. And what he'd done is he decided to pit after the warm-up lap and gone to full wets, and everyone else was on the intermediates. So it meant that he had to start from the pit lane, so dead last. But after the monsoon came down, it allowed him to stay out. And then at the end of the lap 2, there was all these spins, and Luzzi almost hit the safety car. They decided to red flag it. When you restart from where you were on the red flag. So Winkelhock, who was now leading because he was the only one to be out on full wets, has the honour of being the only driver in history to start from last and first in the same race.
What? I love that.
Oh, but sad times for America. This Grand Prix also marked the end of Scott Speed's F1 career. Disappointing results and an alleged physical altercation between him and the team manager Franz Tost. He was replaced with the rest of the season by one Sebastian Vettel. So
Franz Tost? They got in a fight. Speed got in a fight with. I remember him, Alpha Tauri, at the end of his career. It didn't seem like a guy. Well, you never know who's gonna challenge you at the bar. I didn't expect Franz Tost to be the guy who's like, yeah, you want to deal with it outside, Speed?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh well. Now, rounds 11, 12, and 13, remember, it's a 17-round season, and things are just going to unravel big time for the McLaren drivers now. If you think that there's tension, or the online community wants to try to make out there's tension between Lando and Oscar, maybe this is where Papaya rules might have saved things back then. Because maybe without realizing it, I'm sure they went into the season believing they had a number one in Alonso and a rookie in Hamilton, but now we're right in the middle of the season and Hamilton's right up there with Alonso. Hamilton's got title dreams of his own, and he disobeys a team order and doesn't allow Alonso past and messes up Alonso's qualifying. But it's okay because Alonso's the older, wiser driver out of the pair here, so he's not going to do anything childish to get back at
the
Lewis
greatest
straight away,
thing
right?
I've ever seen. The greatest thing I've ever seen. So can I describe this? Because this is one of my favorite things of all time. And the timing has to be so good. So in quali, as Rob just teed it up, Alonso decides to retaliate. He comes into box and they change his tires. And they drop him down, and instead of him taking off, he just sits there. And behind him is Lewis. And Fernando's just sitting there. And it becomes like, when again, like I said, this is one of I go back and watch this video every few months. He's just sitting there. Still now, sitting there. And you can almost see Alonso or Lewis behind him putting his hands up like, let's go. And Alonso waits and waits. And again, I don't know how he timed this so perfectly. He waits, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 seconds. It feels like an hour and a half. He takes off, and now there's not enough time for Lewis to get tires and get back out and get around and get a lap in. He blocked his teammate from running another hot lap by waiting in the box on his own volition, doing the math himself. So when you say Alonso sees things on TVs and he's given notes to Lance and brake bias settings and this, he's been brilliant from the beginning, and a bit of a punk.
Do you think that while he was sat there, somebody came on his team radio and went, Fernando, remember every Monday morning team meeting?
No, there were definitely no papaya rules being sent into his headset at that time.
So then, as a result of this, Alonso gets a 5-place grid penalty. And I don't quite know why. I guess it's for the disobeying of the rules, and maybe he felt they didn't take enough action against Lewis or whatever it might be. Ron Dennis and Alonso get into it. They get right into apparently a heated argument. I've not been able to find. Well, lots of mainstream journalists say this definitely happened, so we're going to say it as if it did. We get into this heated argument, and the Spaniard tries to blackmail Ron Dennis into granting him preferential treatment for him over Lewis for the rest of the season. Otherwise, he's going to threaten to disclose emails between him. Coughlin, who we haven't covered this yet. We'll get back to this in a second. We're going to do it now. So we had, Stepney and Coughlin are these two guys one of them was a McLaren engineer. I think that's Coughlin, and Stepney is the dismissed Ferrari engineer, or person who didn't like it when they restructured the team. He got dismissed and had a grudge to bear. So he threatens that he's going to send some emails about this. And what that really means is that the stuff that got thrown out before, where they're saying, oh yeah, there might have been some stuff that was sent from the Ferrari guys to the McLaren guys behind the scenes. Even if that kind of got thrown out as being dismissed, that meant that not only had it made it between these two engineers, it's got all the way to Alonso somehow, because if he's copied in on emails where he could be seeing Ferrari documentation, maybe there's some meat to this. Ron Dennis goes to Max Mosley and says it's an empty threat, there's nothing to it. Alonso's got nothing to send. We definitely haven't stolen documents off Ferrari. And this still isn't going to go away yet. So it goes away again now for a little while. So it got officially dismissed by the FIA. Then Alonso's got all in a tantrum and said, well, if you don't give me preferential treatment over Lewis, I'm sending all these emails that are going to show that you cheated. Somehow that's got up to Max Mosley, and Ron Dennis has had to run around and go, no, he's just a bit childish. There's nothing to it. So, okay, fine. Everything calms down a bit. We go off to Turkey and Italy. And Massa leads a 1-2 in Turkey, and Alonso leads a 1-2 in Italy. So again, tit for tat, Ferrari 1-2, McLaren 1-2. Then, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All hell breaks loose after Italy. The FIA announced it has new evidence, and this is between Italy and Belgium, which I think is only a couple of weeks. They basically say that by the time F1 reaches Belgium next race, they've been excluded from the Constructors' Championship. McLaren have. They investigated it, said they got new evidence, and they kicked them out of the championship. They found that they didn't believe the drivers had anything to do with it, so they were going to let them keep their drivers' championship points and keep the WDC up thing. One of the big things that came out is, remember the woman in our opening scene of our 2007 movie, the lady getting the documents scanned onto CD? Turns out this was Coughlin's wife, Trudy, and the document was 780 pages of top-secret Ferrari design information, which Coughlin then passed to Stepney, who'd been unhappy when he got dismissed by Ferrari when they reorganized the team. So, yeah, they got done cheating, kicked out of the Constructors' Championship, but the title race was allowed to go on because they decided... And they put something in there to say if anything comes to light that the drivers knew or participated in this, they were going to get kicked out as well. So at this point, they're marching on for the title run-in, but still not 100% sure that their points are going to definitely count. But
so here's the thing. Again, this has always been something that's kind of been a bit of a
question
for me. 2007, Fernando threatens to send the emails that he apparently is aware of, but not enough to be excluded from the Drivers' Championship about, or didn't learn enough from it. In 2008, his teammate crashes on purpose in Singapore to help him out, but he knew nothing of it. Two of the biggest scandals, if you ranked the top 5, these would probably be in the top 5 scandals in F1 history. 2 years apart, same team, same guy as part of it, but he knew nothing of either? Question? I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to.
Not same team, was it? Because Alonso will leave and go
Oh,
to
that's right. Of
Renault
course.
at the end of the
Of course,
year.
he goes to Renault in 08. But
Yeah.
so different.
Sorry,
team.
McLaren fans.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little worked up. But my point is the same. Like, if there's enough smoke, eventually there might be some fire there. And it's not like he was anyway. Whatever. I like Fernando enough. I'm gonna stop thinking about the bad stuff that he might have known.
So now we basically go into the last 3 races, and it really looks like it is Fernando versus Lewis. Kimi's dropped too far back, so it's just going to be a straight shootout between them until it isn't. Despite being like superb all year, Alonso crashes out in Japan, Hamilton coppers him and crashes out in China, while Kimi is just on a charge. And it brings us to the fact that we get to Brazil on the final day of the season, where we have Hamilton on 107 points, Alonso on 104, and Kimi on 100. So remember, it's the old system. He can't get 25 for a win here. So the commentators got all super excited about this, trying to come up with all the permutations of what could happen. But essentially, third or higher, Hamilton is home and dry. He's the champion. Alonso needs to win with Hamilton fourth or lower. And mission impossible for Kimi Räikkönen is basically win the race and get those 10 points to go up to 110 and just hope beyond hope that Alonso and Lewis both screw it up. And so mission impossible for Kimi.
The Iceman said some prayers that morning for the first time in his life.
So, kind of mini race review here. So we had 21 drivers lined up, ready to go. Spiker of Sutil sat in the pit lane. And right at the beginning, the Ferraris of Massa and Raikkonen were faster. So Kimi got past Lewis. The third corner, Alonso also got past Lewis and defended himself by the re-attack from Alonso. But then it starts going a little bit wrong for Lewis at this point. I mean, come on, debut season, going for the title. Maybe understand that maybe nerves get the better of him. Don't know if it was nerves, but he locks up. He goes off the track trying to regain the position. And he comes back in 8th spot. And just a couple of minutes later, his gearbox just basically says, "Should I change gear?" Question.
Am I a gearbox? Am I making coffee?
And basically everyone passes him. It takes him 30 seconds to turn it off and turn it on again, and get the computer going back on his...
Which is what he basically did.
He did. He had to do a computer reset of his car to get the gearbox to realize it was a gearbox again.
Crazy.
So he's down in 18th spot. The Ferraris are pulling away, and he's got to get back up to 7th, but most likely 5th to clinch the title. So it's all ahead of Lewis here. He's in 18th spot. We're kind of coming up to the first round of pits. We get the first round of pit stops. Massa's 3.3 seconds ahead of Raikkonen, followed by Alonso, and 17 seconds behind. Alonso 17 seconds behind, and Hamilton has now moved up to 13th. So this is pit stop number 1. Hamilton's still got loads to do, but Alonso is frustratingly close to Kimi. So it looks like this is going to swing Alonso's way at this point. So do you want to take us home on this part, Brian?
You keep it going. I didn't see this live, so I want you to recap it.
So then this one, there were some conspiracy theorists, although we didn't really have the interweb as rampant as we do now. So second round of pit stops, Massa makes an error and goes wide. He pits on 50, and then Kimi just smashes in some epic laps that by the time he comes out and he pits on 53, comes out into the lead. And some folk were kind of saying, I don't think we were in the era. Maybe we were still in the era of banned team orders. I can't remember. But some people saying, did Massa run wide on purpose to let Kimi back in because he couldn't just let him through? I can't remember, to be honest. But anyway, whatever. Kim is now in the lead. Hamilton has fought his way up to 7th, and he's going to need to get 5th. Because the way things are shaping up now, where we've got Kimi in first, Massa in second, Alonso, I think, down in third, this is going to be Kimi taking the World Championship by 1 point if it stays like this. Oh, and it did. It did. Kimi crosses the line first. Lewis can't make up the spots he needs to. And Kimi won the World Championship by 1 point. It went Kimi 110, Hamilton 109, Alonso 109. Alonso was in third based on countback because they both, I think, won the same number of races, and Lewis had come second more often than Alonso.
Crazy.
So he got Hamilton gets second in his debut season on the countback. And Ferrari walked. They strolled the constructors from BMW. Sauber came second that year because McLaren were down the bottom with 0 points because they'd been kicked out.
I mean,
But
can you imagine? We thought 2021 was so spicy because we had Lewis and Max going into the last race tied, and it was who finished ahead on the road who would take it home. And that was two drivers. Could you imagine having three? Could you imagine having them battling throughout the race and people watching their hopes dashed as they have to reboot their car halfway through a lap to get the gears to work again? And then he's fifth or seventh and needs to get to fifth. And you're just, I mean, these were epic endings in Brazil. This is '07, obviously '08, is a famous ending in Brazil.
well, I was going to say, don't worry, Lewis, because Brazil is going to pay you back
Exactly.
real soon when you need to make up a spot on the
It might be
final straight to
Is that
take a
Glock?
championship off a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Timo Glock's going to help you out. Don't worry.
Is that Glock? So yeah, it is just, I love the fact that we had these years of finishing races at Brazil that determined the championship, where you went in and you did not know who's going to win. And it wasn't just a two-way battle. It was a three-way battle. Now, it was a two-way team battle, and obviously the points didn't count for McLaren. But I'm going to talk in a minute about how dominant these two teams were throughout the season.
Well, before we go over to the SAP stats, just if you want, and I know, like I say, it might not happen this year, but if you want parallels, look at the points graph, and Lewis and Fernando are essentially the top two all the way through the season. So they led the championship from the second until the final race of the season. So because Kimi won the first race, he was top, and beyond that, he was never top again until the last race. Because over the course of the season, especially towards the end, two teammates were battling in a McLaren for the title, and they let a third driver from a different team sneak in. Max Verstappen, anyone?
Love it.
Now, if we are going to get really kind of crazy, we've only got a handful of races left. And what was it that left Kimi in? Two crashes, two DNFs for the two McLaren drivers going into the last three races, set up the big showdown in the last one. So I'm not trying to speak it into existence, but if Lando and Oscar both get a couple of DNFs in Vegas and Qatar, who knows? Maybe this is going to be like the Groundhog Day of seasons, and Max is going to win it by a point on the last race of the season in Abu Dhabi.
18 years later, here we are again. Although you didn't mention anyone losing their magic dust, which has really been Oscar's problem so far.
True.
All right, so in the
status?
in the theme of Panasonic as a sponsor, as AT&T as a sponsor, as Vodafone as a sponsor, here is the SAP Stats. SAP Stats 2007 Season Edition. All right. There was a dominant season of two constructors. There were 17 races, as Rob said when we teed this off. There were 9 Ferrari wins, 8 McLaren wins. Kimi had 6, Alonso had 4, Hamilton 4, Massa 3. How about pole positions? Was that any different? Nope. Ferrari 9, McLaren 8. Okay, so really no one else really sniffed around at the top here. What about podiums? Nope. There were 17 races, 3 podium positions per race, 51 podium places to be dealt in the 2007 season. McLaren took 24, Ferrari took 22. That leaves BMW Sauber, who we said was second in the constructors, with 2. Williams had 1, Red Bull 1, and Renault 1. That's over 90% of the podium position amongst 4 drivers for 2 teams. Dang, domination. Why don't you leave some for the rest of us? Non-Ferrari and McLaren teams led a grand total of 2.7% of the laps that season. 2%. Well, 3 if we're rounding appropriately. 2.7% of the laps the whole year. That includes pit stops, the spins, all the craziness you talked about at the beginning of races. And interestingly enough, I was really onto the template that season in F1 Fantasy. I finished 8th in the world in F1 Fantasy that year. That may be a lie.
I'm not sure F1 Fantasy was going there.
It did not exist. Not that I'm aware of.
Imagine if you got the you stumbled along the template, like the budget, like Hamilton. He's this new guy. He'd be pretty cheap. It's a rookie. I'll take him to counter off being able to afford Alonso. I'll throw Kimi and Massa in there because Ferrari haven't been the same since Schumacher, so I'll take those 2.
And then just dominant.
And I'll throw in, I don't know, Sebastian Vettel, another lad that I'm sure won't even get a drive as my countermeasure.
Exactly. This unknown kid coming along gets one drive, and then I'll take him. I did play fantasy sports starting in the '90s, late '90s. I am old. I'm very old, people, and it was a completely different experience than it is today. So I don't know when they started F1 Formula One fantasy, but yeah, I would have been really good at it back then. So that's why I made the joke.
Definitely epic, yeah, 100%.
That was awesome.
That closes out. Yeah, that closes out a little walk down memory lane for the 2007 season. If you weren't around to see it, because obviously it's a long time ago, there can be some people listening out there that weren't even born then, which depresses the heck out of me.
That's fine. All good.
But it's definitely worth kind of just going watching some of the like season summary videos on YouTube and stuff. And like I say, we'll pop the crash for Kubica and some of the Hamilton Alonso battles in there as well. So
I do nominate Kubica for a Vale's Tale at some point. Just I don't think people appreciate what that guy had.
Yeah, definitely. So that kind of puts a bow around 2007. So we have to come right back up to the future with 2025's next race. Next week, when I'm going to stay up ridiculously late and regret it all of Sunday.
It's not as bad this year. It's 2 hours earlier than it's been in years past.
Ooh.
I don't know if you remember that. So it's 10 p.m. Central, 11 for
11.
you. Yeah, it's way better.
I thought it was 1 a.m. I thought it was 1 a.m. Okay, that's cheered me up.
2 years earlier. I cannot wait to watch
2
this
years earlier? We got to go back to 2023 to watch this race.
I got a case of the Paul Harris's here, and I'm time traveling all over in my speech. Yeah, no, 2 hours earlier. I can't wait. My bowling league gets together and watch it together. We'll play some poker and watch cars go around an upside-down pig, a 3.853 mile upside-down pig. And at first, when people said it was an upside-down pig, I said, no, it's not. It is a 100% upside-down pig. The 100%. Way that, if you don't think it's an upside-down pig, you need to go have your eyes checked because your Rorschach tests aren't working right. 17 corners, the 1.18 mile straight down the strip is amazing. And my favorite part of that straight, still to this day, will be when Pierre Gasly in the Alpine, was it a year or two ago? Was it? I don't remember which of the seasons. I think it was last year. Was getting DRS and was going so fast his engine exploded because it wasn't ready to have the extra revs, the Alpine engine of the extra revs pumped through it, and it broke. And
we'll hit that in a minute when we do last year's review.
I still think that's crazy.
It really is. It is. Yeah. It's yeah, like you say. I mean, it's been held twice now. This will be the third year for it, and I don't think, other than kind of the manhole cover missile smashing through Carlos Sainz's Ferrari,
which was super scary because it actually broke through the survival cell. Even
some teething problems for the track, but actually both races have been great. They've been really, really good. They've offered overtaking. They've offered everything. So 2024, Norris needed to beat Max by 3 points to keep the driver's title alive. That was the mission going in. George Russell decided that he fancied a little bit of action in Vegas. He went and got pole, and he went on to win it ahead of the one Lewis Hamilton. So we had a Mercedes 1-2 last year. Carlos Sainz came in to complete the podium. Remember when Ferraris stood on the podium, anyone?
No, I don't. Neither does Elkan.
No. And like you say, yeah, I mean, Gasman had an absolute up and down weekend. He went and put that Alpine
That's right.
third.
It was last year, yeah.
Third in quali.
Crazy.
Alpine are bad this year. They were a little better last year. They were, which is why we're so stunned at how bad they are this year. But yeah, he went and put that in third. And like Brian said, lap 15, flying down the back straight. Yeah, engine let go big style to the rev limiter apparently.
Yeah, he got caught in someone else's. He had DRS and was trailing a car, and the engine's like, yeah, this is too much for me. Goodbye. Didn't he also supposedly have a $0 destructor championship last year, and people argued whether or not this should have counted against him? I think that also happened as well.
Yeah, because if it went bang because there were too many revs for the car to handle, most people, including myself, said the one person that is responsible for those revs is the person whose foot is on the accelerator. So,
and I think my argument was, there's no way the car should launch its own engine. Like, that shouldn't be an option. But
no, but a bit like when your back end snapped out and you realised something was going wrong last week pretty quickly. I would have thought, you're so in tune with these cars. You're flying down the back straight and suddenly it starts making this high-pitched squeal that you've never heard it made before. Pretty sure you might say, I'm just going to ease off that. That doesn't sound right.
Oh, this sounds bad. Oh.
Maybe he thought he'd unlocked super turbo mode.
Oh, man.
So, Max ends up bringing it home fifth, I think, ahead of Lando. I think Lando was sixth, and that meant that he gets his fourth consecutive World Drivers' Championship. Now, this is a little bit of a weird stack because it's not the same track, I know, but third time that the driver's title has been decided in Vegas. In 81 and 82, Nelson Piquet and Keke Rosberg secured their titles in the old car park at Caesar's Palace. The weird zigzaggy weird thing.
And and Mercedes achieved their 60th 1-2 finish, their first since 22 Sao Paulo. Vegas, just the macro for a second, because we obviously the winners have been Max at Red Bull and George at Mercedes in the two races. I agree with you. I think these races have been better than people expected them to be. Have there been teething problems? Sure. I think they've shown us, again, I think, this is my own opinion, I think they've shown us really good racing for a street circuit. And we crap on street circuits left and right, but I enjoy these. I feel like they work pretty well. However, the cheese that they cover the race
you were going there.
and around it is brutal. And so last year when Max clinched his title, they drove him in Rolls Royces. There were like 3 cars, but all the drivers like, oh, we'll share a car? Oh, we'll share a car. And then they drove down, and they put him on a plinth in the Bellagio fountains. And Terry Crews, who is a big American hero, who knows nothing about auto racing, came out there and interviewed him and is like, hey, what were you listening to on the radio in the car? It doesn't have... Did you have the air conditioning up on high? That's not Terry. These aren't the kind of car where they have it. And they did the driver parade intro, still the greatest one of all time.
Sergio Checo!
This was Vegas. And every year they put them on these big podiums and they come flying up from the bottom and they play music and they block the track so that you can't see it unless you ride the escalator back and forth. I mean, like, there's so many of these stupid things. And then the practice went long one year and they kicked everyone out because they had to turn the road over by 6 a.m. And so people who paid couldn't even see practice. A lot of cheese around it, but the race usually delivers.
Well, that bit wasn't... No, I've got to separate what you say there.
I know that's not cheese, but it didn't work. Those are teething problems.
Yeah. Teething problems, we chalk those off to experience, and hopefully we don't get any more of those. The cheese, I don't know if it is just you, or if it's every American that sort of has secondhand embarrassment on behalf of America because of Vegas, right? But the rest of us, this is what we expect from Vegas. Like, we expect crown jewels and glitz and yachts at Monaco, and that's what it gives us every single year. And everybody, there will be a certain set of people that will kind of go, oh, look at all the money that's on display there. Imagine like what's going on to the climate with all those yachts that are burning all that gas to turn up at this little marina and blah, blah. And some people will naysay against Monaco, and others will say, we need the glamour and glitz. That's what Monaco does. Vegas is on the calendar to do what it does. And if it didn't have the sphere and it didn't have over the top every single stereotype of Vegas America you could hope for, if it wasn't like watching the intro to The Hangover, we just need Mike Tyson and Tigers this year. That's all we need.
I agree. You nailed it. I think that's right. I will say what we're missing, though, is last time I was at the MGM Grand, I came out of my hotel room, and it's like off at the side of a casino, and you come through the doors, and you need the guy at 7:30 in the morning who's chain smoking cigarettes, playing the slot machine, drinking a drink out of like the 7-foot tall drink bong. It's like, I don't know what's in that, some kind of margarita situation. He's wearing, and I'm not making this up, an inner tube around him that has a flamingo on it. As he lays across the chair, hitting the button, drinking while chain smoking, smells horrendous, just talking to himself. That guy should be at the race. All the hookers who come up and talk to you everywhere you go, they should be at the race. That is Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Just quick one for you on this. So, Vegas has definitely got an identity because everything we've just said is Vegas, and that's what we kind of expect and what you think. If you were asked to describe Vegas, you'd come up with many, many, many of the things that we've just said, plus many of your own. Austin's got the whole cowboy thing going on, and we'll quite often play into that, and we'll get a lot of big hats and cowboy boots at Austin. What's Miami's identity? Because you used to live down that way. Miami doesn't seem to kind of, I don't know. It gave us the fake water. To me, Miami kind of struggles for a little bit of its own identity because I never really know what to expect apart from the fact we're going to see the paddock inside the stadium, and that's usually about it.
That is Miami, baby. Miami is beautiful women It is the ocean, the palm trees. It is a culture. It is the Latin culture in particular. It is food. It is vibrancy. It is sexuality. It is everything you want Miami to be. And they need more of that too. They need more of that too. Bring me on, Formula One Media, as a consultant. We're going to cheese up Vegas and we're going to sex up Miami and we're going to make this thing amazing.
Right, quickly before we get cancelled, let's move over to our, aptly enough, casino game picks for Vegas.
What are the casino game picks? Sponsored by MGM Grand.
Yeah,
Not a
so
sponsor. Just kidding.
for anyone that's not at this before, then shame on you. Where have you been? No, sorry, I mean, welcome to the dirty side. So we have our ongoing Rob versus Brian competition. Every race we bring out our casino games. We will do the roulette table where Brian is going to spin the table in a minute. It will stop on a number and we will have to predict which driver finishes in that position. Blackjack, we will select 2 drivers and hope that the points that they score in the race sum to 21 so that we can win our hand there. And 3-card poker, we will draw 3 cards, well, drivers, and see if we can make a hand. See if we can pick 3 drivers that will finish the race in that order. If they're not in the right order, that will still count as a hand. But if you get the proper straight, you pick 3 and you nail the order, you're probably going to win. I don't think in whatever round we're up to now, 21 attempts or whatever it is.
Bathing ourselves in glory.
The most we've ever had is 2 cars finishing in the right order. But we'll see.
Shall I spin the wheel?
Spin the roulette wheel, Brian.
And I don't want to hit the wrong button here.
Hey, this is Duff McKagan, and you're listening to the Dirty Side of the Track podcast.
Duff.
Oh, sorry,
Duff. We're doing the roulette wheel. So calm down.
Apologies, wrong button. It is spinning. It is spinning. It's always high. It is once again high. It is lucky number 13. Lucky number
13.
13.
Oh, I liked it last time when we had third. That was like the one time that we had a
third or
top
fourth,
10
whatever.
prediction.
Yeah.
It's me first then on this. So, sorry, what did you say? 13. Okay,
13
I'm going to say in 13th, being as he's been the subject of lots of discussion today, I'm going to say Fernando Alonso.
I like that. I like that a lot. He's 12th in the Drivers' Championship. 13th makes sense for Fernando. It's so hard because RB can be so good all of a sudden, and you just can't discount them. Haas, who knows? Ollie Behrman's been on a heater all of a sudden. Maybe this is Esty Bestie territory? Question. I'm going to go with a big wild card. I'm going with a big wild card here for me because I don't know which version of him shows up. Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz.
I like that. That's a good one.
He could be 6th. He could be 16th. But I'm hoping he's 13th. So, Carlos, hook me up, buddy.
Right. Well, then you have the first attempt for blackjack. Which 2 drivers are you picking out the hat here?
I feel like the only time I've been successful is when I've gone with teammates because I overthink it otherwise, and someone always goes too high or too low. So who's going to be decent here? I'm going to really go for a blackjack. I'm not going for this middle of the road, you got a 5 and I just call it a day and stand on my 5 on your, whatever I have because you have 5. I'm going for it. Mercedes boys. Now George could hose me up on this, do really well and I bust, or they both may do well. But I'm feeling a 21 coming here.
That's a pressure play. That is I was going to go with Kimi and Isaac because I was going to play the bottom end of the just don't go bust and just hope you do. But now you've taken Kimi away because George won here last year. Mercedes are good around this track. So George could hose you up.
Could.
Kimi, I could see getting that middle of the road points, which is what I wanted. So I ain't going anywhere near the McLaren. I ain't going anywhere near Max. So now you've taken both the Mercs. I mean, come Ferrari boys. I mean, oh my god.
Wait, what happens if you double DNF again? Was it?
I know. So I'm gonna go Ferrari. I'm gonna go Charles, and the third Ferrari of Ollie Behrman.
The third Ferrari. I like it.
That's a little bit out there because I just think you've played a blinder there because I can't go on the other teams because they're just going to score too many points.
I've
so
left you with 3 that are too good and then a bunch that are too hard to find the right middle ground.
Yeah. So very well played, sir.
Thank you. I try.
Oh, this one. The problem is Last few races, Max has been up there and he's been down there. He's been back up there again. Oscar's lost his magic dust. Lando seems to be the nailed-on one at the moment that you probably say might be finished first. But to pick 3 in a row now with the Mercedes boys around there as well. Oh, I'm not going for the template. I'm not doing the template. I don't think it can happen. So I'm going to go George, Oscar,
Oh no!
Max.
Oh no! You're
George,
taking
Oscar.
my guys.
I should have gone Max, George, Oscar, but I've taken my finger off the piece now. So
George,
counts.
Oscar, Max. You took too many of my guys. That left me hurting. If I'm being totally honest, I was when you said George, I thought you were going a different direction. I'm like, oh, you're gonna leave the door open. All right, so now I got to figure out what to do somewhere else. And you know where else I'm going? I'm going to the bottom once again. Ooh. I just feel like I've got enough. This is a high-speed circuit, and I know somehow the Alpine was decent for Pierre last year until it went pop. The Alpine is terrible this year. They're just running the same friggin' car back year after year. It made no improvements. Same chassis. Big mistake. So I'm going to do mine in reverse order so that I don't lose the finger off the piece. In last of my 3.
Oh, this makes it harder for me to type this in now.
Colapinto. Franco Colapinto.
Now got to move in front of him. Okay, who's in front of him?
The gas man. No.
Oh,
Gasman's
no.
first. Gasman's
Okay.
finger still on. Gasman first. Colapinto last.
Yeah.
And who were they battling in Brazil at the end?
Who's the meat in this Alpine bread sandwich?
Who was it? Who they were fighting with? Who we were surprised was back there?
I'm not helping you at this
I
point.
can't remember. It wasn't Hulkenberg, was it? It ain't gonna be Gabby. I don't want to do this. I was gonna say Yuki. I can't do that. Stroll. Lance Stroll is the answer.
Stroll. Okay.
A Stroll sandwich.
Stroll sandwich
I hate
on Alpine
that.
bread.
I got stuck in the spotlight. I didn't know what to say. My answer stinks. I regret it already.
You watch it come home now. Last 3, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. Gasman, Stroll, and Colapinto.
They may.
Grinning all like.
You never know.
You got as good a shot as I have. I mean,
I think I may have gotten Colapinto right. So.
I just think, yeah, you may have got Colapinto right. But, well,
I know he didn't do
picking a
places.
position.
So yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
not doing places.
Order.
So it's it's a good round of picks. We'll see. It's very, very tight in our head-to-head. So also you got to think about your midweek predictions, which again we've moved away from template territory now. So it's becoming more difficult.
I mean, I think I've got mine established already. Vegas is a high-speed circuit. Max is going to run the lowest downforce Monza type wing, and he's going to make it work in the cold weather, and he's still going to get the car to stick on the track. So you may see Max in my predictions.
Didn't last year. That was the problem. This is what causes me. Again, I'm not going to give away mine too much, but I will just sort of came 5th last year. He didn't have any big problems. Just I don't know. The other cars seemed to come alive more. And that Mercedes came alive. I don't know.
He's still got the engine, which only has 1 race on it.
True. I mean, he does have that. There is that to be taken into account. It's the other positions that you can't count on Oscar anymore for the template.
That's true.
He hasn't been on the podium for what is it now?
I don't know.
4 or 5 races?
75 races.
75. Anyway, we will find out next week. We'll do our midweek predictions. We will get to watch the race a little bit earlier because of those 2 hours that Brian happily reminded me about. And then we will record at some point on Sunday, I guess, once we've lay in bed a little bit longer because we had to stay up late and watch a race.
Sounds good, man. I'm looking forward to it. Rob, anything else for you this week, sir?
That's it from me.
All right. Well, we appreciate all you guys listening. The Dirty Side is an amazing community, and you guys are the best part of it. We can't wait for the Vegas Grand Prix. We'll recap that and preview Qatar next week. Be well. Be safe, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Vegas, baby!